63% of workers say they wouldn't be able to cover a $500 emergency expense.
Most people don't have $1,000 in the bank. Most people cannot handle a tire blowout or they're going to put it on credit.
Americans now carry more than $1 trillion in credit card debt.
The official poverty measure in the U.S. today is based on calculations from the mid-1960s.
It's also a system that is pervasive in actually creating poverty situations.
Poverty leads to more anxiety, it leads to more stress, it leads to more health problems.
And with the way the economy is going right now, it's only going to get worse. You see, people are still messing around, not saving, not having an emergency fund. I don't know how much more I can say this in my videos, how important it is to have an emergency fund. Guys, you just need to have an emergency fund. There is no more playing around with this credit card game, you know what I'm saying, acting like you don't get paid enough. I mean, you know you don't get paid enough, but you're using your credit card to supplement your lifestyle, right? You're not building an emergency fund because you're saying your credit card is an emergency. But now with the things being the way they are, every little thing that happens is an emergency, right? It becomes an emergency and people need to wake up and recognize credit cards, guys, is not your best friend, right? Having a credit card debt and paying a minimum balance every month is not doing you any good. The realization is going to come sooner or later where you're going to come to realize, listen, I am broke. Not even broke, I am poor. And all I'm doing is just using credit cards to avoid the fact that I am poor. But usually it's a time when people hit rock bottom, right? Or they come to realization like nothing's going to change unless I make that change, is when you could do that change. Because as you see, it's using metrics from the 1960s. From the 1960s to measure poverty. Can you imagine if it was updated to today, how horrible it would be right now, right? How so many people recognize they are actually poor. They just don't even know it because it's really easy nowadays to mask it. And it seems like that's what's happening now. I mean, 1 trillion credit card debt is just something to just, I don't know how people can sleep at night. That's something that's just wild.
37.9 million. That's the number of Americans currently living in poverty, accounting for 11.6% of the total population. That's despite the fact that America ranks first as the richest nation in the world in terms of GDP.
The United States is known for having this great abundance, and at the same time, alongside that abundance, there is widespread poverty and economic insecurity.
You see, the problem with the United States is it's a big delusion. That's the issue, right? Is that people they're just delusional in thinking there's certain ways to build wealth, right? Which is your image. Your image doesn't make you rich. Like looking like someone else that you think that has money is not gonna do you any good, because usually the people who you're trying to like impress, right, or you think you should emulate, are people who are broken in debt themselves. That's the thing with America. You can continue, right, to just add debt, continue to add debt for such a long period of time. You get payday loans, you can get home line of equity, you get a bunch of credit cards. You can do all of these things to just mask the real issues that you're having. Right, 37.9, I think it said, millions of Americans are labeled, right? To me, that's a label as poverty. I'm pretty sure the number is high. There's probably people who are, like I said, who are probably right now in poverty that don't even know it, right? I mean, well, they know it, they haven't just said it out loud. They're just keeping it to themselves and they're burying it because it's the easiest thing to do. But man, people just need to really wake up, because this is getting really, really, really scary. I mean, people just a paycheck away from living in the streets nowadays, right? And there's so many people. I would love to know the number of that, of how many people are one paycheck away from pretty much becoming homeless. It's really sad right now.
Sometimes you question, we're in the United States of America. How can the citizens be going through such a issue? We always boast that we're a superpower, that we are the richest in the world, and things just don't make sense.
Poverty in the U.S. had been steadily improving over the past decade, from a height of 48.8 million people living in poverty in 2013 to 34 million in 2019. That was until the pandemic changed its course.
COVID absolutely had a very deep impact on the access to employment and long-term employment for a number of families that were already vulnerable for various reasons.
Building wealth in America, even though people say it's an abundance, right? There's so much money in the United States. There's so much money. It was like, how can you be broke in this country? Because to me, you have to know the money game, right? You have to practice discipline, and you just have to know the money game. Most of the wealth that's built in this country is not from people working a 9 to 5. Okay, the income you get from 9 to 5, you could take that money to invest. That is how people are making so much money in this country. Just working, relying on one income stream, a 9 to 5, paying your bills, you get a few credit card debt. That is the trap right there. The trap right there is thinking you had to go to college, get the student loans. Now you're a massive amount of debt. Then you get a job with all that debt. You can't leave that job, or you can't take the risk that's needed for you to grow because you have debt. Then you get a house, now you have a mortgage, you're really staying at that job. There's so many things that people are chasing to build this American dream, which is not there, right? People who build wealth sacrifice, and they just know how to delay gratification because they have their eyes and their goals on the bigger things. In America, you can do whatever you want. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing. It's good if you're doing all the right things. Saving, investing, there's opportunities out there, you take advantage of it. But it's not if you try to take the easy route. The easy route is going to lead you to become extremely broke. And that is, to me, the number one thing I learned at my age of how I see now America, right? The easy path is certainly not the path that you want to take. That's the path the people are broke and they're just complaining and then they're struggling. And some people are legit. They're really legit. They got issues that they're trying to handle financially. But there's another side. Those are people who just said, you know what, I'm not chasing that. I'm going to chase the bigger prize, right? This is the harder path, but I know the reward. And to me, I'm a firm believer, if you keep on showing up, it's just amazing how lucky you are. It's because you're there. You're showing up every single time. And when you're showing up every single time, all those opportunities can come your way, and you allow all that luck that you're waiting for it to happen to come your direction. That, to me, is the perfect image of America.
Prior, it was myself and my 2 older brothers, along with my stepdad, that constantly worked to provide for everyone in the house. But after COVID-19 and the whole lockdown, we were laid off. And ever since then, we have had issues finding a job.
Poverty is expensive. About 11% of the federal budget, or $665 billion, goes to economic security programs. Child poverty alone is estimated to cost the U.S. over $1 trillion, based on the latest research from 2018.
You know what really sucks about this whole situation is right now you're seeing Trump trying to slash all this funding. But it's one thing that we never want to admit, that in America we have a poverty issue, right? We have an economic issue. All we want to say is people are lazy, so cut the funding. But that's not the case, right? It's not the case that people are just lazy and that's the reason why they need this assistance. Because that is a lot of money that the government is dishing out, to take care of the poverty situation. That is a huge amount of money. And I get it. You see that number, you're like, oh, cut it out, right? And then you just start spewing stuff, calling them lazy, and then it makes the justification for you to cut people out that need this fund. Right? That people who are just poor right now, there's children in poverty. There's so much things going on in this country right now. To me, it's a broke epidemic. Everyone is just broke and everyone is just poor, right? It's an epidemic because everyone is delusional. People become delusional and it's really easy. Some people are like, not me, that cannot be me. Look at your bank account now, right? Some people look at their bank account and saying, ugh, man, I can't wait till next week to get paid. Then next week comes to get paid, they go, oof, I feel better. Then a couple of days later, oof, I can't wait to get paid. You are constantly in this cycle, not realizing you are like one check away, man, from really just being broke. And people need to come to realization fast and recognize you live in America, man. If you make that small little shift, you start pointing towards the right direction, your life could change tremendously. Now, it's not easy for people to get up and just, to make that change, but you certainly need to make that change. You need to be extremely optimistic about your future and take those calculated risks in order for you to get out of the hole you're in now, right? Because we're seeing how things are. COVID is not a one-time event, right? It's a one-time maybe in your lifetime, but there is no reason why that cannot happen again. So you need to just bulletproof yourself from things happening in the future where you just don't lose all your money, lose your house, lose your car, go into debt, go into bankruptcy. You need to protect yourself because you never know when an event like COVID can happen again.
There are also really high costs on an individual level. Poverty leads to more anxiety, it leads to more stress, it leads to more health problems, all kinds of things that amplify the effect of poverty.
The feelings that you would usually encounter when you're in this position is mostly depression. Why can't I find a job? Why are we in this situation? You know, we're trying our best and sometimes it's just falling back down on our face.
That is a sad truth, man. It is. You know, it is. It leads to so much depression, money stress, anxiety. And with that comes multiple things, right? Some people start doing alcohol, they become alcoholic. So alcoholism is probably at a high. Some people start using drugs. Some people try to medicate their feelings by using credit cards, right? By getting payday loans, by doing buy now, pay later, just to get that feeling of like, you know, get that stress out of you, just to feel like you made it, right? Like, you know what? I deserve this. You know what? I need to, and it makes yourself get into a worse situation. And it's sad because you're seeing this time and time again all over the news. Everyone's talking about it, right? Everyone is talking about it. Think about it. The price of eggs goes up and people going ballistic. Oh my Lord, they're going ballistic. It's just eggs, right? It's just eggs. We live in a country where there's so many other options to eat, so many things you could do. But with eggs, people are like, it's just like, it's stressed the hell out because they cannot buy the eggs because the price of eggs are ridiculously high. That's a problem. Right? That's a problem where little inconveniences becomes a huge issue in your life. And that's what happens when you're broke. Things get magnified, right? Any little small issue, a flat tire to someone else, okay, transfer from my savings, here, pay it, done. But to someone who is like already in their bank account is in a negative, that flat tire, it just magnifies the situation even more. People are burnt out, man, and they're stressed out. People are burnt and stressed out right now. And it's really some scary times what's going on right now. I'm not gonna lie. It's really some scary times. And that's why I preach time and time again. And even if you hear this video, there's one person that gets some type of motivation, handle your business, man. Handle your finances. You really need to get yourself back into shape. You know what I'm saying? Stop the spending. People say no spending January. Man, do no spending until you actually are like, you could swim. You're out from just drowning. You could just swim. You could relax. You could be in your floaty. That's when you start spending. Because nothing's going to change, guys, until you make that change. I really like this video, and I really enjoyed it, guys. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Take your time to leave a comment. Hit the like, subscribe. Subscribe to the CNBC. They have some really good videos that's really interesting. Some of them is sad because you're in the current state of affairs with how people are struggling. But also at the same time, it's motivating to get you guys up and moving to handle your finances. Catch you guys. Peace.